Oliver stared at the faces of the people who had raised him, his voice barely above a whisper as the words finally escaped. "I'm gay, and I can't hide it anymore." The silence that crashed down was deafening, broken only by his father's chair scraping back violently as the man he once idolized pointed a trembling finger toward the door. "Get out of my house," his father snarled, voice thick with a rage Oliver had never heard directed at him before. His mother sat frozen, her hand over her mouth, tears already spilling down her cheeks, as if the confession had struck her physically. Marcus, his younger brother, pushed back from the table so hard the plates rattled. "You're disgusting," he spat, the words landing like blows. "The family stain, that's what you are now." The family dinner table in their modest two-story home on the outskirts of Springfield, Illinois, had always been the heart of their world. Oliver had grown up here, fixing fences with his dad on weekends, helping his mom with the books for the family construction company when money got tight, and cheering Marcus at Little League games. He was the reliable oldest son, the one who quietly covered the mortgage payment last winter when a big job fell through. But none of that mattered now. In the span of one sentence, he had become the enemy. His father's face twisted in disgust, the same face that once beamed with pride when Oliver scored the winning run in high school. "We didn't raise you this way," he said, each word a hammer blow. "You're not my son anymore." Oliver's legs felt like lead as he climbed the stairs to pack. He threw clothes into an old duffel bag, grabbed his laptop and the small stash of cash he had saved from summer jobs, barely $400. Downstairs, no one came to stop him. The front door slammed behind him at midnight, the sound echoing into the empty rural road. Rain poured down as he walked the 3 miles to the highway, thumb out, soaked to the bone. A trucker finally picked him up, heading toward Chicago. Oliver didn't look back. At 18, with nothing but the clothes on his back and a heart full of shattered trust, he left the only home he had ever known. Chicago swallowed him whole at first. He slept on a cousin's couch for 2 weeks before landing a room in a rundown apartment in Logan Square. Days blurred into double shifts. Mornings at a bustling coffee shop slinging lattes, nights stocking shelves at a 24-hour supermarket. Exhaustion kept the pain at bay, but nights were merciless. He would lie awake replaying the dinner, wondering if his mother had cried herself to sleep or if Marcus had laughed about it with friends. The city offered anonymity, but it also offered possibility. He enrolled in community college, studying computer science at night, coding on borrowed library computers when his own broke. The work was grueling, but every late-night study session felt like defiance. 2 years passed before Elijah walked into the coffee shop on a rainy Tuesday. Tall, with warm brown eyes and a gentle smile that seemed to cut through the steam and noise, Elijah ordered a black coffee and a croissant. He tipped well and always asked how Oliver's day was going. One afternoon, when Oliver's shift ended early, Elijah lingered at the counter. "You look like you carry the weight of the world," he said softly. Oliver laughed for the first time in months. They talked for hours that day, about growing up different, about families that didn't understand, about dreams bigger than small-town expectations. Elijah was an art teacher at a local charter school, passionate about giving kids the safe space he never had. Their first date was a simple walk along Lake Michigan, hands brushing until Oliver finally took Elijah's. The kiss under the streetlights felt like coming home. As months turned into years, their relationship deepened with quiet strength. Elijah taught Oliver how to cook real meals instead of ramen, how to breathe through panic attacks when memories of his father's voice surfaced. Oliver supported Elijah through the exhaustion of teaching kids who faced the same prejudice. They built a life together in a small but bright apartment, filled with Elijah's paintings and Oliver's coding books. Oliver graduated and landed a junior developer job at a startup. The pay was modest, but it was a start. He poured every spare hour into an idea, a mobile app that helped small construction companies track inventory, bids, and crews in real time. Late nights coding beside Elijah on the couch became routine. "You're going to change things," Elijah would say, kissing his temple. For the first time since that awful dinner, Oliver believed he could build something that mattered. Success didn't come overnight. Investors laughed at first, calling it just another tool for blue-collar guys. Oliver persisted, tweaking code until his eyes burned. When the app finally launched, word spread among local contractors. Orders trickled in, then flooded. By age 28, Oliver was CEO of Inventory Forge, with a growing team and an office downtown. The money changed everything. Stable rent, vacations to the Dells, a ring he slipped onto Elijah's finger one quiet evening on their balcony. Their love had grown into something steady and profound, full of inside jokes, shared silences, and the kind of support that healed old scars. Yet the family wound never fully closed. Oliver still avoided holidays, still felt a pang when he saw fathers and sons working side by side on job sites. He wondered if they ever thought about him, if they regretted the door they slammed. One crisp autumn afternoon, as golden leaves swirled outside the office windows, Oliver's phone rang with an unfamiliar area code. It was his sister Sarah, voice cracking. "Dad's company is finished, Oliver. That big lawsuit over the faulty materials wiped us out. The bank is foreclosing next month. Mom's blood pressure is through the roof. She's in the hospital again. We're losing everything." Oliver froze, the old anger rising sharp and hot. The same family that had called him a stain now needed the son they threw away. Elijah walked in, saw his face, and squeezed his shoulder. "What are you going to do?" he asked gently. Oliver stared at the phone, the weight of 10 years of silence pressing down. The decision would test every piece of the man he had become. Oliver sat in his downtown Chicago office long after the call ended, staring at the skyline that had become his new horizon. Sarah's voice still echoed in his ears, the tremor, the desperation, the way she said "we," as if the family still included him. He hadn't spoken to any of them in a decade, not since the night his father's words carved him out of their lives like a tumor. Elijah leaned against the desk, arms crossed, waiting patiently. "You don't owe them anything," he said softly, but his eyes held understanding. Oliver knew that. He had built this life without them. Inventory Forge now employed 20 people, generated steady revenue, and gave him the freedom to support causes Elijah cared about, like LGBTQ youth shelters. Yet something deeper tugged at him. A threat of the boy who once fixed his dad's broken truck engine just to hear "good job, son." That night, back in their apartment, Oliver and Elijah cooked dinner together the way they always did. Simple pasta, a bottle of red wine, soft music playing. Elijah listened without judgment as Oliver unpacked the memories he usually kept locked away. "I was the one who kept that company afloat when I was 16, Oliver said, chopping vegetables with more force than necessary. "I worked weekends, learned QuickBooks on my own, convinced suppliers to extend credit. And the second I told the truth about who I loved, I became poison." Elijah set down his knife and pulled him into a hug. Their embrace was familiar, grounding, the kind that had carried Oliver through countless sleepless nights early on. "You became the man who loves openly and builds empires," Elijah murmured against his hair. "Whatever you decide, I'm here." The next days blurred into a storm of reflection. Oliver threw himself into work, finalizing a new feature that would integrate with accounting software, but his mind wandered constantly. He remembered the first Christmas after he left, alone in his tiny room, eating microwave turkey while Elijah was still just a regular customer at the cafe. Elijah had invited him over that year, introducing him to his own chosen family of friends who welcomed Oliver without question. Those holidays had healed something in him, teaching him that family wasn't blood, it was choice. Yet blood still called now. Sarah texted photos the next morning. The family construction yard overgrown with weeds, Dad's truck repossessed, Mom looking frail in a hospital bed. The images hit like punches. Oliver showed them to Elijah over breakfast. They never reached out. Not once. Not even when Grandma died. Elijah nodded, eyes serious. "And that hurts. But saving them doesn't erase what they did. It just means you get to decide who you are now." Oliver spent the weekend pacing their living room, replaying pivotal moments. The day he launched the app beta, and Elijah stayed up all night testing it with him, celebrating with cheap champagne on the fire escape. The night they moved into this apartment, painting walls together and laughing when Elijah got more paint on himself than the trim. Those memories anchored him. Elijah's steady presence reminded Oliver that love didn't demand perfection, it demanded courage. "If I go back," Oliver said finally, voice cracking, "it's not forgiveness yet. It's just seeing if I can live with myself if I walk away." Elijah kissed him softly. "Then we go together. You're not facing them alone." By Monday, Oliver had made the call. He wired enough money to cover his mother's immediate hospital bills anonymously through Sarah, buying time. Then he booked 2 tickets to Springfield. The flight was short, but the drive from the airport felt endless. Elijah held his hand the whole way, thumb tracing circles that said everything words couldn't. As the familiar countryside rolled by, cornfields turning gold, the old water tower still leaning slightly, Oliver's chest tightened. He had imagined this return 1,000 times in angry fantasies, but never like this. Never as the savior. Elijah squeezed his hand tighter. "Whatever happens, we leave together stronger." Oliver nodded, the weight of the decision settling like a promise. Pulling up to the family home felt surreal. The house looked smaller, paint peeling, the porch steps sagging where he once sat with his father planning summer jobs. Sarah met them at the door, eyes wide at the sight of Elijah. "You brought him," she whispered, voice mixed with surprise and something softer. Inside, the air smelled the same, coffee and wood stain. His mother sat on the couch, looking thinner but alive. His father stood by the window, back rigid, refusing to turn. Marcus was there too, arms crossed, older but still carrying that same scowl. No one spoke at first. Oliver stood tall, Elijah beside him like a shield. "I'm here because Sarah called," Oliver said evenly. "Not because I forgot what you said that night." The words hung heavy, but they were true. This was the first step, not reconciliation, but choice. The tension in the living room crackled like live wires. Oliver's father finally turned, eyes narrowing at Elijah before landing on his son. "You expect us to thank you," he growled. "After everything?" Oliver felt the old sting, but held steady. "I expect nothing. I'm here to look at the books and see if the company can be saved. That's it." His mother reached out a shaky hand. "Oliver, we never stopped thinking about you." The words were too little, too late, yet they lodged somewhere deep. Elijah stayed quiet, a calm presence that gave Oliver strength. Sarah led them to the kitchen table where stacks of invoices and legal papers waited. The construction company, Thompson Builders, had been Oliver's second home growing up. Now it teetered on collapse after a faulty concrete supplier lawsuit drained every reserve. Oliver dove in, spreadsheets open on his laptop, Elijah quietly organizing documents beside him. Hours passed. He found patterns his father had missed, overextended credit lines, delayed payments from big clients. "We can renegotiate these," Oliver said, pointing at contracts. "And my app can streamline the rest." His father snorted but didn't leave. Marcus hovered, arms crossed, muttering about city boy solutions. The prejudice lingered in small ways. Sideways glances at Elijah, the way his mother hesitated before offering them the guest room. "We'll stay at the motel," Oliver said firmly. Boundaries mattered. That night, back in their room, Elijah held him close. "You're doing this on your terms," he whispered. "I'm proud of you." Their kiss was soft, full of the quiet love that had carried them through years of building something real. The following days blurred into meetings. Oliver called old contacts from his startup world, securing bridge loans and investor interest in modernizing the company. He worked from dawn until midnight, rewriting bids, training Sarah on new software. Elijah pitched in, using his teaching skills to help reorganize the office and even mediating a tense supplier call with calm diplomacy. But cracks appeared. Marcus cornered Oliver in the yard one afternoon. "You think bringing your friend here fixes what you did to this family?" The word friend dripped venom. Oliver's fists clenched. "What I did was be honest. What you did was throw me away." The argument ended with slammed doors, but Oliver refused to back down. Elijah listened later, reminding him that change took time. "You're already changing the trajectory. That's enough for today." Internal storms raged too. Oliver woke at 3 a.m. one night, heart pounding with memories of being 18 and alone on that highway. Elijah woke with him, holding him until the shaking stopped. "You're not that boy anymore," Elijah said. "You're the man who built a life worth saving others." Those words anchored Oliver through the next crisis. The bank called, threatening immediate foreclosure unless a substantial payment arrived within 48 hours. Oliver wired funds from his personal account, money he had planned for expanding Inventory Forge. Elijah never questioned it, but Oliver saw the flicker of concern. "This isn't forever," Oliver promised. "We're building something new here together." The romantic evenings they stole, quiet dinners at a local diner, walks along the same fields where Oliver once dreamed of escape, kept the balance. Elijah's hand in his Under the Stars reminded Oliver why he fought. By week's end, the immediate fire was out. Creditors agreed to extensions, thanks to Oliver's revised financial plan. His mother hugged him awkwardly before they left for the day, whispering "thank you" through tears. His father still wouldn't meet his eyes, but he didn't argue when Oliver suggested a new partnership structure. Marcus remained distant, but Sarah pulled Oliver aside. "I missed you." "We all did, even if we sucked at showing it." The admission cracked something open. Driving back to the motel that night, Oliver leaned his head on Elijah's shoulder. "I think I'm ready to try forgiving. Not forget, just move forward." Elijah kissed his temple. "Then we do it together." The decision felt like growth, painful and necessary, the kind that reshaped everything. Weeks turned into a delicate dance of progress and setbacks. Oliver commuted between Chicago and Springfield, splitting time while Elijah took leave from teaching to stay and support. The construction yard slowly transformed. New software installed, crews retrained, bids going out with professional polish. Oliver's app integration cut costs by 30% in the first month alone. Investors he brought in saw potential, injecting capital that kept the bank at bay. His father watched the changes with grudging silence at first, then began asking questions during site visits. "How does this dashboard work?" he muttered one afternoon, peering over Oliver's shoulder. It wasn't an apology, but it was acknowledgement. Oliver explained patiently, the old father-son rhythm flickering back to life in small sparks. Yet prejudice didn't vanish overnight. At a town hall meeting about local development contracts, whispers followed Oliver and Elijah. "That's the Thompson boy and his partner," someone muttered. Marcus nearly got into a fight, defending the family name, but Oliver stepped in calmly. "Let them talk. We're here to work." Later, Marcus pulled him aside, voice rough. "I was wrong back then. Didn't know how to handle it." The admission came after beers at the local bar, awkward but real. Oliver nodded, throat tight. "Took me 10 years to stop hating you for it." They didn't hug, but the air between them lightened. Elijah, ever the steady force, organized a small office party for the crew, bringing his easy humor that won over even the toughest welders. Watching Elijah laugh with the men Oliver once called family filled him with quiet pride. Internal conflict peaked one evening when Elijah received a call from his school in Chicago. They needed him back sooner than expected. "I can handle a few weeks alone," Oliver insisted, but the thought of separation stung. Their relationship had always been their safe harbor. Elijah cupped his face. "We've survived worse. This is your journey too." The goodbye at the bus station was tender, full of whispered promises and the kind of kiss that lingered. Alone that night in the old guest room, Oliver faced the quiet. He sat with his mother on the porch, finally talking, really talking, about the night he left. She cried, admitting her fear and the pressure from his father. "I should have stood up for you," she said. Oliver didn't absolve her completely, but he held her hand. Growth meant holding both truth and compassion. The real test came when a major contract hung in the balance. A big developer demanded personal guarantees, and Oliver's father balked, pride still raw. "I won't let that city boy take over completely," he snapped in a heated meeting. Oliver stood firm. "This isn't about control. It's about survival." The argument spilled into the yard under dramatic sunset light, voices carrying across the fields. Marcus mediated unexpectedly, siding with Oliver for the first time. "He saved us once by leaving. Let him save us now." The words landed heavy. His father relented, signing the papers. That night, Oliver called Elijah, voice raw with emotion. "I think they're starting to see me. Not the stain, but the sun." Elijah's pride radiated through the phone. "You're showing them who you always were." Small victories accumulated. Mom's health stabilized with better insurance Oliver arranged. The company landed 2 new jobs, Cruz smiling again. Oliver found himself laughing at family dinners, awkward at first, then genuine. Elijah returned for weekends, their reunions filled with the kind of joy that reminded Oliver why he fought. One sunny afternoon in the park where he and Elijah had first held hands years ago in Chicago during a quick trip back, they shared a quiet moment. "This journey changed everything," Oliver said, pulling Elijah close. The embrace felt like victory, romantic, deep, earned. Yet Oliver knew the road wasn't finished. Deeper conversations waited, old wounds needed more time. But for the first time, hope felt real, not just survival. The company turnaround gained momentum, but new storms brewed beneath the surface. Oliver balanced Chicago headquarters meetings with Springfield site supervision, driving the interstate until the road blurred. Elijah supported from afar, sending encouraging texts and joining video calls that ended in laughter. Yet distance strained them. One late night, after Oliver missed their usual call due to a crew emergency, Elijah's voice carried quiet hurt. "I miss us, the real us, not just crisis mode." Oliver's heart twisted. He had sacrificed time with a man who stood by him through everything. "I'm coming home soon," he promised, but the words felt thin. Forgiveness for his family was growing, but at what cost to his own chosen family? Back in Springfield, misunderstandings flared. His father, gaining confidence with the new systems, tried reclaiming full control too quickly, overriding Oliver's safety protocols on a job site. A minor accident left a worker with a sprained wrist. Oliver confronted him in the trailer office. "You can't ignore the upgrades just because they're mine." His father's face reddened. "This was my company before you decided to play hero." The argument echoed old wounds: rejection, control, identity. Marcus stepped in again, calmer now. "Dad, he's right. Oliver's changes saved us." The support surprised everyone, including Oliver. Later, his mother pulled him aside in the kitchen, baking cookies like old times. "Your father's scared. He thought losing the business meant losing who he was. Like we lost you." Her honesty cracked more barriers. Oliver nodded, tears threatening. "I'm not going anywhere this time." Elijah arrived unannounced that weekend, sensing the tension through their calls. They walked the familiar fields at dusk, hands linked, the dramatic lighting of the setting sun painting everything gold. "You're carrying everyone again," Elijah said gently. "But you don't have to do it alone." Their conversation turned deep, Oliver admitting the guilt of choosing family over their life in Chicago, Elijah reassuring that love meant space for growth. They ended the night in each other's arms at the motel, the romantic connection reigniting with quiet intensity, reaffirming their bond. "We're stronger together," Elijah whispered. That strength carried Oliver through the next crisis. A key investor pulled out, citing market shifts. Oliver used every connection, pitching late into the night until a new partner signed on. Thanks in part to Elijah's networking help from Chicago. Family dynamics shifted further when Marcus asked for a private talk. Over coffee at the diner, he opened up about his own struggles, questioning old beliefs after seeing Oliver's success and kindness. "I was scared too," Marcus admitted, "of what it meant for me if you could be happy that way." The conversation lasted hours, ending with a tentative hug. Oliver felt the weight lift. His father watched from afar, then approached one evening on the porch. "I was wrong that night," he said gruffly, not quite meeting Oliver's eyes. "Didn't know how to handle it. Still don't fully. But thank you. It wasn't perfect, but it was a bridge." Oliver accepted it, the internal storm quieting into steady resolve. The final push came as foreclosure loomed again. Oliver liquidated personal assets, stocks he had set aside for a house with Elijah, to cover the gap. Elijah supported the choice without hesitation, even offering his own savings. "This is what family does," he said. The romantic gesture, the quiet sacrifice, deepened their love. As the papers signed and the bank backed off, Oliver stood with Elijah, overlooking the now-thriving yard. Cruz waved. Sarah smiled from the office window. The journey had demanded everything. Confrontations, misunderstandings, painful choices, but it forged something stronger. Oliver knew true healing was ongoing. Yet in this moment, with Elijah's arm around him, the future felt bright. The grand reopening of Thompson Builders drew the whole town. Banners fluttered under clear blue skies. Crews in fresh uniforms demoing the new digital inventory system Oliver had fully integrated. Investors mingled with local contractors, laughter mixing with the hum of machinery. Oliver stood at the center, shaking hands, but his eyes kept finding Elijah across the crowd. His partner chatted easily with Sarah, the two bonding over stories of Oliver's stubbornness. The sight filled him with a warmth he hadn't felt in this place since childhood. His mother hugged him tightly, whispering, "You brought us back from the edge. I'm so proud." Even his father managed a firm handshake and a gruff, "Good work, son." The words, simple as they were, carried the weight of 10 lost years beginning to mend. Marcus pulled Oliver aside later, beer in hand. "I told the guys at the bar about how you saved us. Didn't leave out the part where I was an idiot back then." They laughed, the sound genuine and healing. The family gathered for a private dinner that evening. Oliver, Elijah, parents, siblings. Conversations flowed, easier now, touching on old memories without the sting. Elijah fit seamlessly, sharing teaching stories that had everyone chuckling. Oliver watched it all, heart full. The internal battles, identity crisis, fear of rejection, the pressure of being the savior, had reshaped him into someone who could hold both his past and his future without breaking. He had made the choice to return, to help, to forgive on his terms, and it had changed everyone. Driving back to Chicago the next morning with Elijah, windows down and music playing, Oliver felt a full circle. The city skyline rose ahead, their apartment waiting with plans for the future, a bigger place, maybe adopting a dog, expanding inventory forge while keeping Thompson Builders as a family legacy. Elijah reached over, lacing their fingers. "You did it. Not just save them. You save yourself too." The romantic truth settled deep. They pulled over at a scenic overlook, sharing a long embrace under the sun, the kind of happy, fulfilled moment that defined their journey. Oliver kissed him softly, grateful for the man who had walked every step beside him. Yet as they drove on, Oliver reflected on the road ahead. Relationships would need ongoing work, regular visits, honest talks, boundaries respected. The societal pressures hadn't vanished, but his strength had grown. In the end, he had turned the family stain into a bridge, the rejection into redemption. Life in America, for a gay man, loving openly, still carried challenges, but Oliver and Elijah faced them together, proof that growth came from the hardest choices. Was Oliver right to forgive his family and risk everything to save them? Or should he have walked away forever and protected the life he built with Elijah? 982 words.